Have you ever wondered why you stick with certain brands almost no matter what? Well, it's not an accident. It turns out the most successful companies on earth are all following a very specific playbook to build that kind of incredible customer loyalty. So, let's dive in and break down exactly how they do it.
Okay, so our story starts in a kind of weird place, a casino. Back in the late 90s, Hurrah's Entertainment made a bet, a huge one that would totally change the company forever. But get this, it had absolutely nothing to do with the slot machines or the poker tables.
No, their biggest gamble was on data. They made a bet that understanding their customers, you, on a super deep personal level, was way more valuable than just hoping someone got a lucky roll of the dice. And let me tell you, that bet paid off, big time. So what exactly did they do that was so revolutionary? Well, Horace basically invented a loyalty program that changed the entire game. The whole idea was to turn the random gamble of business into a sure thing by understanding the lifetime value of their relationship with a customer. I mean, this was incredibly sophisticated for its time. Through their Total Rewards program, every single interaction, every hotel stay, every meal you ate, every game you played, all of it got fed into one massive central database. That info was then crunched to figure out different types of customers, allowing Harris to send out these super personalized offers, like a free meal or some extra gambling credits, right at the moment you'd want them most. And the results? They were absolutely staggering. A full 80% of their gaming revenue came directly from members of this loyalty program. Think about that. This wasn't just some clever marketing trick. This was the core engine of their entire business. It proved that knowing your customer isn't just a nice idea, it is incredibly profitable. You know, the Harris story is such a brilliant illustration of a much bigger shift that was happening in business. It's this move away from being obsessed with your product to being obsessed with your customer. It's a concept we can call flipping the pyramid. So take a look here. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things, a classic pyramid with top management sitting at the peak, and the customers, well, they're way down at the bottom. But the winning way, the one on the right, it literally flips that whole chart upside down. Now the customer is at the very top, supported by the frontline employees, who are then supported by management. The entire company is rewired to serve the customer. This idea is just so perfectly summed up by marketing experts Don Peppers and Martha Rogers. It seems obvious, right? But think about it. Every single thing a business does, from building a factory to scheduling a meeting, only really exists to attract and serve a customer. Without them, there's just no business at all. So why is keeping those customers you already have so critical? I want you to think of your customer base like a leaky bucket. Now, you can spend all your time and money trying to pour new water in the top, or you could just focus on plugging the leaks. And plugging those leaks is just smart business because, as you can see, getting a brand new customer can cost up to 5 times more than just keeping an existing one happy. Okay, so we get it. We need to be customer obsessed. But how do you actually do that? How do you put that into practice? Well, it turns out there's an actual formula behind how customers make their choices. Let's break down what's called the customer value equation. It all boils down to this one concept, customer perceived value, or CPV for short. Put simply, it's what you get minus what you have to give up. A customer is constantly, often subconsciously, weighing all the benefits of a product, the quality, the service, the brand's reputation, against all the costs, the price, sure, but also their time and their energy. And the winner is whoever offers the best overall deal in the customer's mind. Let's see how this plays out in the real world with a classic battle, Caterpillar versus Komatsu. So, Komatsu's heavy machinery often has a lower sticker price, right? It's cheaper up front. But Caterpillar can actually charge a 10 to 20% premium. How? Why would anyone pay that? Because customers perceive the total benefits, things like legendary reliability, better dealer service, and a higher resale value, as being worth that extra initial cost. Caterpillar wins on overall value, not just on price. And you know what? Companies don't just guess at this stuff. They have a whole process for it. It's called a customer value analysis. They systematically figure out what benefits actually matter to you, how important they are, and then they benchmark themselves against their competitors to find any little edge they can. But what happens when you get this value equation wrong? Well, Dell learned that one the hard way. In a race to offer the lowest prices, they started outsourcing their customer service, and the quality just plummeted. Customers felt like the benefits side of the equation had totally vanished, and Dell's market share took a massive nosedive. They had to slam on the brakes and completely reverse course. This all leads us to the next evolution in the playbook. And honestly, it brings us right back to what Harrah's was doing all those years ago. Companies now have these powerful tools to stop thinking about you as just one sale and start thinking about you as a long-term, valuable asset. And the key metric here is something called customer lifetime value, or CLV. It's basically a calculation of the total profit a company expects to make from you over the entire time you're a customer. This single number shapes everything, especially how much they're willing to invest to keep you coming back. Now, I know this table looks a little complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Imagine a company goes out and gets 100 new customers. In year 0, that costs them money. But then year by year, they project how many of those customers will stick around and how many will leave, that's churn, and they also project that the profit from the ones who stay will actually go up over time. By calculating all this out, they get a really clear picture of the long-term dollar value of that original group. So, here's the big takeaway from all this. The science of CLV means that smart companies are not just focused on making one sale to you today. They are actively managing their relationship with you like a long-term financial asset, literally calculating your future worth and making decisions based on that number. But here's the twist. Just as companies were getting really good at the science of customer value, something massive happened that changed the entire game. The rise of the internet basically handed a copy of the playbook to you, the customer, empowering you and turning this whole thing into a two-way street. And don't just take my word for it. This quote from the former chairman of Procter & Gamble, one of the biggest consumer companies in the world, says it all. He recognized that marketers were no longer the only ones in control. Consumers were now actively co-creating the very brands they used every day. And we see this everywhere, right? Domino's put you in the driver's seat, letting you build and truck your own pizza. Doritos let its fans name a new flavor in a huge contest. Converse literally turned home movies made by fans into their TV commercials. And organic food company, Amy's Kitchen, sends out new products to food bloggers to get their honest reviews before they even launch. It is all about participation.
So we've seen how companies use data and a customer-first obsession to build loyalty, and we've seen how customers are now demanding a seat at the table. So this all leads to the big question, where do we go from here? What does the future of loyalty even look like?
Well, it seems like the playbook for the future is really a mashup of the best of both worlds. It still starts with creating a fantastic product and a great experience. Of course it does. But now it's equally important to integrate the voice of the customer into everything you do, building a real database of their needs and making it incredibly simple for them to give you feedback and, yes, even to complain. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. We started this whole journey with Harrah's, a company that built an empire on knowing its customers inside and out. Today, that knowledge that companies have is deeper than ever before. So the question for all of us as consumers is, what's the right balance? Is the convenience of perfect personalized service worth the reality of perfect surveillance? It's something to think about.